A pale wind slid through the wooden shutters as Lila sat on the edge of her narrow bed, fingers nervously tracing the fraying seam of the worn blanket. The smell of damp carpet and old cigarettes lingered in the air, a scent she had come to associate with Marla, her stepmother. Outside, a black sedan idled, humming like a waiting predator. Marla's sharp voice sliced through the silence. "Get your things. He's here." Lila didn't move. She heard the lie in Marla's tone. It wasn't the usual bitterness. It was eager, greedy. "I said move, blind brat." Lila slowly rose, collecting her threadbare duffel and white cane. Her sightless eyes stared toward the sound of the door creaking open. Heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway. Then a new voice, calm, deep, commanding. "Is she ready?" "That's her," Marla replied. "Don't expect much. She's quiet, doesn't talk back." A pause. Then the man's voice again, directed at Lila this time. "I'm Jace Hartwell. You'll be safe now." Lila couldn't see his face, but something in his tone didn't sound like Marla's lies. Still, she didn't trust easily. She followed, the sound of his steps down the porch stairs into the sleek car and away from the house that had never been a home. The estate was silent when they arrived. No butlers, no staff, just cool stone floors, the soft whoosh of doors opening with sensors. Jace didn't explain much. He simply guided her through the place with care. A room was already prepared. The bed sheets were fresh, the closet stocked. He didn't touch her, didn't ask for anything. He left her alone. The first night passed in eerie silence. The second was worse. She woke screaming, sweat soaking the sheets. Shadows clawed at her mind, memories with no faces, only sounds. Marla. Yelling, a man's hand grabbing her arm when she was younger. Locked rooms, cold meals, no love. But no one came running, no one told her to shut up. By the third day, she was sitting alone in the garden, knees pulled to her chest, letting the warmth of the sun wash over her. "You're up early," said Jace. "The garden smells different in the morning," she answered, "like the world hasn't decided who it wants to be yet." He didn't speak, just stood near her. She reached down to touch the lavender bushes. "I used to do this with my mom, the real one, before she died. She said flowers are like people. Some bloom late, but they still bloom." Jace finally spoke. "Do you remember her?" "Bits. Mostly her laugh, or when she was trying not to cry." She turned toward him, her face gentle but searching. "So why did you really take me?" He hesitated. "When I was a boy," he said slowly, "my sister went missing. I was supposed to watch her. I didn't. She was taken. Found weeks later. Barely alive." The silence between them deepened. "I built everything I have trying to fix that mistake, but no company, no money ever made it right." "You couldn't save her," Lila said, "so you saved me." That night, Jace was in his study, poring over encrypted files, court documents, old investigations, police reports. He traced every lie Marla had told, found Lila's real birth record, her mother's death certificate, faked. The real one listed suspected foul play. Marla had been a cooperating witness in a trafficking case years ago. Charges dropped. Evidence sealed. His breath caught when he saw the surveillance camera light blink. Someone was inside the property. The figure was small, hunched, desperate. Marla. Her face ghostly in the night camera feed, her hand clutching a gun. Jace ran. Lila sat, cross-legged on her bed, still. She heard the creak of a hallway floorboard, the scrape of metal. She felt it in the air like static. "She's here," she whispered to herself. The door eased open. There stood Marla, trembling, eyes bloodshot, gun in hand. "There you are, you little parasite," she spat. "You think this man cares about you? Think he's different from the rest?" "I think," Lila said quietly, You're scared because someone finally sees you. Shut your mouth. But Lila didn't flinch. He didn't buy me, she said. He freed me. Marla raised the gun, and then a voice behind her. Put it down, Marla. Jace. He was calm, but the rage in him was thunder held behind his ribs. Marla spun. You're making a mistake. She's mine. No, he said, lifting his weapon. She's her own. The shot rang out. Marla hit the ground. Lila stood still, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. Jace rushed to her, grabbing her hands. Are you okay? I think something's different, she said. Something broke, and I'm still standing. The police came. The scene closed. Statements were taken. Lila sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. She felt the weight of the moment settle on her like a quilt stitched by fate itself. Jace returned, placing a folder in her hands. What's this? Adoption papers. I finalized them this morning. She ran her fingers across the embossed braille. Lila Hartwell. You're mine, he said gently. If you want to be. She didn't answer with words, just nodded. Weeks later, in a cottage by the sea, she recorded a message on a small voice recorder. Waves crashed softly in the background. For years, I thought being blind meant being broken, that I was nothing but a burden. But now I know I was never broken, just unseen. And now, finally, I see everything that matters. She clicked the recorder off. In the next room, Jace read over architectural plans for a new institute for accessibility tech. The blueprint had her initials carved into the cornerstone. She walked in quietly, pressing her hand on his shoulder. You're going global? She teased. He smiled. We are. They stood at the window side by side, watching the sunset fold over the waves like the final page of a story. Only this one wasn't ending. It was just beginning. A soft rain tapped on this cottage windows, the sky a quiet gray curtain. Inside, the air was warm, filled with the scent of cinnamon and rosemary. Lila moved through the kitchen, carefully measuring ingredients by memory and touch, her fingers gliding over the jar labels marked in braille, the weight of a cup measured. With instinct. She hummed softly as she worked, unaware of Jace watching from the doorway, leaning against the frame, barefoot and smiling faintly. You've gotten domestic, he teased. She didn't turn toward him, but her lips curled. No, I've gotten comfortable. You used to burn toast. I still burn toast, she replied dryly. But I've embraced it as part of my charm. He stepped forward, wrapping his arms gently around her waist from behind. She rested her hands on his. I've been thinking, he said softly. Dangerous, she murmured. I want to open something. A real center. Not just tech for the blind, but education, safe housing, trauma care. A place for kids like you. Like your mother. Something that can't be bought. Only built. Lila was quiet for a long moment. I want to help, she said. You already are. No, not just with the tech. I want to teach. I want to talk to girls who feel like they're invisible. I want them to know that blindness isn't emptiness. It's just different light. Jace kissed the back of her head gently. We'll build it together. Later that day, they drove into the nearby town. The car window was cracked slightly, letting the scent of sea air and wet pavement drift in. Lila held her cane in one hand, but she didn't use it as much now. She knew this road. She knew this part of the world, not by sight, but by feel. They parked beside an old library slated for demolition. This? She asked. He nodded. It's ugly now, forgotten, but imagine it. Rebuilt, solar roofs, gardens, dorms, labs, classrooms. A space designed by someone who knows how the world should feel, not just how it looks. She walked toward it slowly, hands trailing along the crumbling brick wall. Her fingers paused at a patch of rough stone. "It reminds me of me," she said quietly. "Damaged, unloved, but still standing." He came up beside her. "That's why it's perfect." Months passed. The building transformed. Where once there was rubble, there were ramps, sound-based navigation tracks, textured walls for wayfinding, and sunlight pouring through massive skylights. The space was renamed the Hartwell Center for the Unseen. Opening day arrived with a crowd: families, journalists, students, city officials. Lila stood at the podium, wearing a sleek navy dress and her signature "Still I Rise" pendant. Her voice rang clear through the microphone. "I was once a girl sold like a thing, but today I'm a woman who knows her value. I don't want your pity. I want your partnership. Blindness is not my weakness. It's my clarity. I know what matters, and I remember what it's like to be ignored. So this place, this sanctuary, it's for the ones still waiting to be seen." Thunderous applause followed. Jace stood to the side, pride in his eyes. Not for himself, but for her. As the crowd dispersed, Lila was approached by a young girl, maybe 10, guided by her older sister. The girl had a white cane and tearful eyes. "Are you really blind?" she whispered. "Yes," Lila said, kneeling to her level. "I don't see like you do, but I see you, and I know what you're afraid of." The girl sniffled. "Will it get better?" Lila reached out and took her small hands. "Not always, but you will." That night, after the guests had gone, Jace and Lila sat under the stars on the roof of the new center, the sky a deep velvet dome. Lila leaned back, sighing. "I used to think the night was the scariest part of the day. And now? Now, it's my favorite part." He said nothing, just laced his fingers through hers. The world was quiet. But for the first time, it felt full.